Greetings, friends and family. Welcome again to Nanaaba's Kitchen. If this is your first time here, I'd like to welcome you warmly and thank you so much for stopping by. Today, what I have on the menu is a quick yet flavorful chicken light soup. This chicken light soup, I'm taking the flavors up quite a notch there because I will be incorporating some homemade cured lamb. So you all already know the flavors are going to be amazing. I can't wait to get started, so let's go over the ingredients really quickly. I have some chicken here. It is whole chicken that I have actually cut up and cleaned up nicely. And here is my homemade lamb. This stuff right here is good stuff. Let's just leave it there. I also have 2 scotch bonnet peppers or chilies, and then I have 1 small sprig of rosemary, fresh rosemary, which you can substitute with half a teaspoon of dry rosemary, followed by 4 shallot onions and 2 habanero chilies. I also have half a teaspoon of my all-purpose seasoning. Substitute please with 1 small chicken bouillon, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 cloves of garlic, and half a tablespoon of ginger paste, a 1/4 teaspoon each of aniseed and black peppercorns. And all these will blend to create that marinade in which our meat will cook and then eventually become the base of the soup. Now I have 1 large red onion, which will be combined with this 1 Roma tomato and this large carrot, and this will eventually become a thickening broth for the soup. Here is where all the fun begins. Let's cook, friends. So I have my lamb here. My pot is on medium heat. What I'm going to be doing is cooking the lamb a little bit. I'm going to kind of put a sear on it, but at the same time, it's going to render some of that really delicious fat off, which is what's going to flavor up our soup. Now this lamb was cured with a ton of salt. That's just how it is done originally. And also keep in mind that that's what's really going to bring us those complex and satisfying flavors, especially when it is seared like that. All right, so we're not going to introduce salts just yet because this soup is brothy. Therefore, at some point, we will add a lot of liquid to dilute the salt's presence so far. And we can taste at that point to see if we need to add a little more salt. Make it a point to sear all sides. So it is time to blend our marinade together. All right, so with the rosemary, I pull the leaves right off into the blender and add the scotch bonnet as well as the shallots. Now these shallots are so small, so I didn't need to cut them up. I add my black peppercorns and my aniseed, followed by my ginger paste and the garlic. Then I add my tomato paste right now. It's going to become part of the base anyway, so you can add it right now. And then add your bouillon or your all-purpose seasoning. I add some water just so that the blades can move. And then we get to blending. Blend till smooth. What we're really doing is layering the building blocks for our all-important soup base. So far, we have done a chunk of that by skillfully searing our cured lamb. We're going to do the same with the chicken. So you can imagine how rich and flavorful our soup base is going to be. So friends, we have seared the lamb on all sides and it smells incredible. And look at all this flavor we have in here. It is time now to add the chicken to it. And when the chicken is added, please move things around so that the chicken has direct contact with the sizzling hot bottom of the pan. And when I rattle about layering and building up upon flavors, this is exactly what I mean. Our lamb and chicken pieces have been seared to perfection. You can actually see all the caramelization, which is equal to nothing but huge flavors. All right, so now we're pouring in our marinade, which is going to throw in another level of flavor, right? So we've added a little bit of water to thin it up and also to deglaze the bottom of the pan. So this incredibly delicious marinade is going to do a few things. Deglazing is one of them, definitely. It is also going to tenderize our meat, penetrate each piece of meat with its lovely flavors, and then it will eventually, as it cooks down, be transformed into that strong, rich soup base. So cover the pot at this point, leave it to cook on medium heat for the next 10 to 12 minutes. In the meantime, we have 3 ingredients that haven't been added to the pot yet, and that is this onion here. What I'm doing is just making some slices, but not all the way through, and that will ensure that it tenderizes sooner than later once it's added to the pot. The same thing applies to the carrots, which I've also cut up. Then I also have that 1 Roma tomato. So this 3 combination of ingredients, once they tenderize, we will go back and remove them, blend them with some water. That is what's going to become the broth of the soup. Now, about 12 minutes later, we can see that the soup base is well developed. It looks like a stew, really. You can taste for salt, and I did. And when I tasted it, the salt seemed to be prominent. So I'm not adding any more right now. We'll see how things turn out when we add the broth aspect of the soup to it. So insert your Roma tomato, the onion, and the carrot pieces. Cover the pot now. We're going to leave it to continue cooking for the next 10 minutes. And upon removal of the lid 10 minutes later, the tomato skin is tender because it's cracked. So are the carrot pieces as well as the onion. So in the blender they go. We're going to be adding some water to the blender. And the next step is to blend till we have a very smooth broth-like texture. Now, the amount of water you're going to be adding is to the capacity of your blender container. So blend it till you have a smooth texture. We shall pour that back into the pot, which is still on medium heat. And at this stage of your cooking, you get to decide what you want to do with the consistency of your soup. This broth is still too thick for me. And the obvious route to take then would be to thin it up with some water. So I rinsed the blender up and added it. I still felt I needed to thin it up some more. So I added more water because the soup is now going to gently simmer down until completely cooked. When it's cooked, oil will start to resurface. We're nearing the conclusion of cooking the soup. We're about 25 minutes away. As you're cooking your soup, once you introduce your broth, you want to make sure that the sides of your pot are reincorporated into the soup. I have tasted now and I feel I need to add a little more seasoning. So I've added some salt to it and just stir it up to combine and let it continue to now cook down gently on the lowest heat setting for the next 25 minutes. And here is a signature move by most Ghanaians. When we cook our soups and stews, we will typically add some chilies in their whole form in the end. Just before the soup or stew is done cooking, it's a final brightening step, all right? It's optional, but we leave the chilies in their whole form. And when you serve yourself a bowl of soup and you want a kick to it, then you can take a chili and break it into your bowl of soup. I've also added some okra to it as well. That's also optional. You can even add some garden eggs or eggplants to it. We're almost there, and here is the oil that is starting to resurface, our indication that the soup is cooked completely through and we are ready now to serve it. But wait, we need our basil in here. Yes, the basil goes so well with chicken light soup because of the presence of all that tomatoes we have in there, and it works very well in lightening all those rich flavors. Yes, today we are dishing this beautiful soup over fresh fufu, and it can also be served with some steamed rice, boiled yam or potatoes, or you can just have the soup by itself. It's hearty enough and it'll fill you perfectly. Just look at that, friends. I hope you enjoyed yourself today here in Nanaaba's kitchen with me. If you did, be sure to give me that thumbs up. Thanks so much for sharing your time with me today. I appreciate you all so much. Please make sure that you're sharing this video with everyone you know. Also, make sure that you're subscribing if you're not already subscribed to this channel. Click on that bell so you don't miss my next videos. Thanks again for watching. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen.